The connect channels are great, so the equity and the bond markets are thriving into these two enormous markets. But I think the next step is important in the sense that it needs to open up China's financial market and platform in terms of internationalizing its practice, because ultimately it isn't about just connecting foreign institutions into China and bringing foreign capital in. The ultimate goal of China opening up is to allow China to be the best in class in terms of global, providing a global financial platform, so that all forms of assets can trade, flourish here with liquidity, transparency, and good governance. I think that's a very important part, and I think it's also very important to have the Chinese institution having that environment and equipping the Chinese institutions to go out into the international frontier and become competitive and able to support the Chinese corporates that goes out, and as well as the foreign corporates abroad.
At the moment, the regulatory landscape is very top-down. Is that going to change, and how difficult is it to have meaningful reforms when you have that top-down approach?
I think there's a lot of advantage in terms of the current system because it's very efficient. It allows directives to go through in a much more streamlined manner, but we need to kickstart that holistic environment and cannot just leave all the work and pressure to the regulators. The lawmaking needs to play its role, and the market participants needs to be actively responding to the requirement to make the market more efficient rather than just relying on top-down.
Now, you alluded to the scope of business that HSBC has on the mainland. What's your strategy for expansion here, given that we can expect a lot more opening up measures in the coming years?
I think there's a lot for financial institutions like ourselves to help build the best practice in China, as well as connecting to the rest of the world. Our strategies have an uncanny kind of parallel momentum to China's initiatives. When we launched our Pearl River Delta initiative, the Greater Bay was also launched. When we were focusing on the outbound, and China launched the Belt and Road initiatives. Arguably, given we were born here, we were one of the earliest Chinese institutions to go outbound. I think also importantly, the renminbi internationalization, we're very keen on developing. Hong Kong is the natural center for the renminbi internationalization. It's where we are able to use our strength to help the currency to better represent the size of the economy that China has and its role in its international community.
And as China's economic growth moderates, what do you make of the health of the financial system?
The direction has been deliberate, that we're not focusing on a broad quantity, but focusing on the qualitative part of the growth. And even with that, China's real growth is still the highest in the world, at over 6%. So I think the engine is humming. It's important that the financial system continues to build in sophistication to serve the real economy, to be able to serve in size, to be able to cater as the support and lubricant of the real economy. So that's why I mentioned earlier on, it's important that if this economy isn't closing up and it's opening up, that the financial system also have to open up into international standards. There are so many and more Chinese companies that are not simply domestic, they are braving successfully into the international community, and the financial system needs to be able to support that.